Share this live, everybody. Share this live.
With a huge heart, always definitely holding my hand, all right, and getting us caught on video. So with that being said,
great morning, great morning, great morning.
As you discussed, it had to happen. None other than a phenomenal Mrs. Pamela McCray. Are you there?
Absolutely, my beautiful sister. I am on this morning. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you can view her on Facebook Live on Pamela McCray. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You just don't know how much those few minutes that you give us as you come on here every single Monday through Friday and you host this call with such passion, you host this call with such energy, because I can tell you, I was literally running around saying, okay, this phone is dead, that phone is dead. What is going on in my household with my children? Because I actually leverage all of their gadgets in order to make sure that I can go on Facebook, in order to make sure that I can dial in with a number that's not going to drop in my office, in order to make sure that I can actually go live on Instagram. So I got it all going on this morning. And so I just want to say I truly appreciate you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because what you do is so very well needed. You truly bring that energy. You truly, no matter what's going on in your life, you get up every single day and you represent. So I just want to say thank you so much, my beautiful sister. So to everybody that's chiming in this morning, I want to say wake up and win. Definitely make it a day that you're going to take it back. It's Transformation Tuesday. It is your turn to win. It is definitely time for you to make a decision. And I am super excited. I'm waking up. You know what? It's a new month. And I hope that every single one of you are getting up every day, especially now, to say, you know what? It's my turn. You know what? It's my season. You know what? So no matter what happened on yesterday, it had to happen, as we're talking about this phenomenal topic, knowing and realizing without a shadow of a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that all you got to do is get up and keep on going. And so I don't know about you, but when July hit, I felt a new energy. When July hit, I said, you know what? It is definitely time to grind. It is summertime, grind it time. It is time to get down below those trenches, as my husband talks about all the time, in order to dig deep, in order to bring about the manifestation that we want to see happen in our lives. And ladies and gentlemen, it starts with us. It starts with us making a decision that no longer, no matter what happened, it had to happen. Nothing happens to us. Every single thing happens for us. And when we get up every single day and we realize that, when we get up every single day and we don't fake the funk, but we realize that, listen, we got to show up in order to glow up. We got to show up in order to grow up. You see, that's what we got to realize. And so I'm super excited, definitely, to have another opportunity to just share on this platform. Always humbled, always honored to just be able to pour out to you what God has laid on my heart as our incredible visionary, none other than Miss Stormy Wellington, lays the plan every single Monday as she gets on here. And yesterday she definitely came on here. And so we shout out her as she's traveling, as she is definitely taking a very well needed vacation. I know she's working in the midst of it, but you know, out abroad. So definitely keep her in your prayers as she is out and about, you know, getting some well-needed time to grow, in order to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit, in order to take things to the next level, but also to relax a little bit. But yesterday she kicked this week off talking about a topic that, yes, we talked about not too long ago, but sometimes, you know what, we got to realize that every day we're going to go through some things, right? Every single day something new is going to happen in our lives. But when we realize that it had to happen in order for us to be where we are today, you see, every single thing has to happen in our lives in order for us to grow, in order for us to now become the person that we're looking for, in order for God to be able to use us so that we can walk in the purpose that we were created to be. You see, Coach Stormy talked about yesterday how our pain is our power. And so when we realize that, yes, we're going to have some ups and downs in life. Yes, there's going to be some pains that we may not understand as we're going through that pain. But when we realize and we know and we recognize, as Coach Stormy shared her story, she said, I want everybody to go back to the age of 13. Think about that 13-year-old self. And when we realize that the pains that we go through in life are truly our power, and we don't allow that thing to take control over us, but instead we allow that thing to be the very power that's now going to thrust us forward that it is truly a gift, because when we realize that every pain that we go through in life is a gift for us to be able to learn, because pain is one of the greatest teachers. And so therefore God allows us to go through some things so that we can grow through some things, so that now we can become the very thing that he needs us to become in order to begin to use us in our lives. And so I guess this week we're going back to our 13-year-old self. And so this morning, actually just a little while ago, as I began to think about that 13-year-old little girl, I'm thankful, that Coach Stormy went there, because sometimes we don't really think about where we came from. Sometimes we don't begin to remember the things that we've been through. And sometimes it may have been painful, but then there's also those smiles, right? There's the joys, there's the happiness that we can actually remember when we go back to that 13-year-old self. And so this morning, as I was sitting back reflecting, and I began to think about the pain aspect, I began to think about, that little girl that was 13 years old, that was very shy. I began to think about that little girl who was laughed at, who was teased. I began to think about that little girl who was very skinny, who had no shape. I began to think about that little girl who, literally had no hair, had a little afro that I used to try to pull into a ponytail that I called a bunny rabbit tail. I began to think about that little girl who had buck teeth, ladies and gentlemen, because I sucked my thumb until I was 13. I don't know if anybody could relate, but I sucked my thumb for so long. I used to suck my thumb and twist my hair to the point to where I had teachers who would pull out rulers and say, girl, if you don't get that thumb out of your mouth. But that was me. I used to suck that thumb so much to the point to where I had a knot on my finger, because I sucked my thumb, because that was the only thing that gave me comfort. That was the only thing that allowed me to go through the pain. That was the only thing that kept me going. And so I used to suck my thumb, so therefore I had buck teeth that was all get out. But I also was that little girl that had glasses, very, very thick, right? I couldn't see. So therefore, the glasses that I had were like Coke bottle glasses. And so, but then I began to realize that, all of this had to happen. See, I wasn't that person that was very popular. I didn't have a whole lot of friends, but I definitely got to give a huge shout out to my friends who put up with me, to my friends who would die hard, my East 38th Street crew in Paterson, New Jersey, because they loved me regardless of how I looked, no matter how I felt. But I remember being that little girl who couldn't stand in front of a room. I remember being that little girl as I was given projects in school, always an A student, right? Because my mom did not play. My parents did not play. My mom was an educator, so I had to get the grades. But I remember being that kid at the age of 13 that if a teacher gave me an assignment to stand in front of a room, I don't care what I had to do. If I had to take an F for that assignment, I was going to take an F for that assignment. But I made sure that I made it up in other ways so that that grade that came home, that my parents would approve of it, because they did not play. So I had to be that honor roll student. But then I began to think, ladies and gentlemen, yes, that was painful, but it all had to happen. You see, I had to be that little shy kid. I had to be that little kid that didn't understand confidence. Why? Because that is how I became the person that I am today. I had to be that kid that was teased. I had to be that kid that grew into a woman who allowed fear to stop me. Why? Because one day God was going to turn that thing around. One day, once I began to realize what I had on the inside, you see, I had to be able to reflect on the pain that I went through and who I was growing up. But I can tell you, I remember also at the age of 13, things began to transition. You see, you got to know that the pain that you go through is going to transform you into the person that you need to become. Because I remember at the age of 13, right before going into high school, that's when my daddy said, baby, you know what? You need to stop sucking this thumb. Let's go get you some braces. And I remember, imagine being a kid that's got braces, but got a big old rake in the front of her mouth because they wanted to stop this thumb going into my mouth. And also I had a tongue thrust. So therefore, I had this big rake in the front of my mouth so that thumb could no longer go into my mouth. but yet my teeth began to start to straighten out. So I thank my dad, because I can remember him taking me day in and day out to the school of dentistry, where I remember these students, working on my teeth. But I can tell you that he was going to make sure that his daughter was going to get my teeth straightened out. And so I remember going through that process. I remember having to wear the head braces. I don't know if anybody remember that, but they would give me this ugly little head brace, and they wanted me to wear that to school. I'm like, are you crazy? Absolutely not. I might put it on at night, but I remember this. But it was a process. You see, it was the transformation that had to take place. Then how many of y'all remember the Jerry curls, okay? Because I remember back then, right around that age, right around the time of getting ready to go into high school, when my mama said, baby, let me put a Jerry curl in that head. And so as she put that Jerry curl in my head, that's when my hair that was so short, that was so nappy, that nobody could do. My sister used to braid my hair. Thank God for my sister who took care of me to make sure that I looked like something back in the day. And so I remember those days. But then when she put that in my hair, ladies and gentlemen, my hair started to grow a little bit longer. And I'm like, wait a minute. So now things began to transform. So whereas I didn't feel like that kid that was so ugly, I began to feel a little bit more confident in myself, a little bit better in myself, but I still wasn't there because I was afraid, I was shy. I allowed the things to stop me. I allowed what people to say to stop me, but I can tell you that it all had to happen. Every single thing negative in my life on how I felt about myself had to happen in order for me to realize that I am for real created for greatness, that God had to allow me to go through that little bit of pain as a little girl. But then I also had to reflect back on the positive. You see, you got to know that the negative has to happen in our life in order to now allow us to become, in order to realize who we are, in order to grow. But then there's that positive that has to happen in our lives. So when I think back to my 13-year-old self, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned I was a very smart kid. I didn't play around in school. I wasn't that kid that did a whole lot, right? I was always that A student, so I paid attention. I did what was necessary in order to get that education. You see, Catherine did not play, so I understood that, you know what, I better not mess up, that that I better not end up in the principal's office. Why? Because everywhere I went, every school she put me in, everybody knew who she was. So therefore, I realized that I couldn't play with my education. So therefore, that I can tell you, that was one of the reasons why we fought so hard for our son. For those of you that know his story, why? Because we understood what should happen in the education system. We understood. So, but I can tell you that as that 13-year-old kid, I didn't really know struggle. I wasn't that kid that knew a whole lot of struggle. We were very family oriented, right? As a result of being very family oriented, I remember family coming by the house. I remember my mom having parties with family and people just having fun. I remember us having Sunday dinner. My grandparents were my everything. I had both of them in my life, and I traveled all the time with them. I traveled with my parents. We were the family that had the TVs in every single room. So all of us had a television. So we didn't really experience struggle like that. We lived in a 4-story house. So when cable came out, y'all remember when cable first hit the scene? I'll never forget it. I believe it was Time Warner or something like that back then. But I remember when cable came on the scene, and we were one of the first families to actually have it. So I didn't experience struggle like that. My mom was a shopaholic. So therefore, when she shopped for herself, she shopped for all of us. And we had bags and bags of clothes that we didn't know what to do with. But God had to say that had to happen. But at some point in time in your life, I need you to experience some struggle. At some point in time in your life, I need you to be able to relate to some people that I need you to bless with in life. So whereas that 13-year-old self did not experience struggle, ladies and gentlemen, but I can tell you all of that had to happen, because one of the other things that I can definitely reflect back on, and with my mom being that educator, ladies and gentlemen, not only that, she was an entrepreneur, because she was a realtor before I was ever thinking about becoming a realtor. So I remember her selling homes. I remember her going out and hitting the pavement. I remember all of that. So therefore, all of that had to happen for one day about I want to say 15 years ago, for me to make a decision, you know what? Let me go out and become a real estate broker. See, you see how God will line things up in your life in order to let you know that things had to happen. But I can also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about my dad. You see, y'all see my dad, who is blessed. Yes, he is 94 years old, and I am thankful. But I can tell you, I remember my dad not selling. I remember my dad being that entrepreneur. So therefore, as he was that entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen, he was a master barber. So imagine this. You see, all of this had to happen in order for me to realize that I was created to be my own boss, that I was created to own my own day. You see, all of this had to happen because I was in the midst of it as a child. So I watched my dad be a master barber, not just a master barber, but a beast at being an entrepreneur. Why? Because he owned a barbershop in the hood on one corner and a liquor store in the hood right on the other corner. So therefore, my daddy owned the block, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to tell you, it was powerful. And he owned that liquor store for a very big part of my life until one day they got saved and they gave their life to the Lord. And my mom said, listen, we can't sell this alcohol no more, all right? And so I remember my dad selling that liquor store, but he was a boss. He was a businessman. And so therefore, I grew up in that atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this had to happen. Then I also remember, yes, I remember the products coming into the house. Y'all know that I'm a part of an industry that we failed in for over 20 years. You see, it had to happen. I remember products coming into our household at a very young age. I remember home parties. Y'all know the home parties that nobody wants to do, right? The things that we tell our teams that, listen, go back to the basics because the basics have to happen. Well, these basics have been happening for over 50, 60 years. And so I remember the products coming into our household. I remember all of the different parties. I remember having to use the nasty toothpaste and eat the nasty foods that was coming into our household from a company, not afraid to say it, because they set the tone. Amway, absolutely. I remember all of this, ladies and gentlemen, but I can tell you that it all had to happen because of the fact that all of that happened in my life. That caused me to believe in an industry that I failed in for over 20 years. That caused me to get up every single day and to realize that, you know what, if I pay attention to the basics, if I become the person that I need to become, if I follow the basic steps, like doing the home parties, like going out and sharing, like becoming a product of the product, and realizing and knowing that it's about relationships for real and building some relationships, that guess what, one day you can win in this industry. You see, it all had to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to know that every single thing that we go through in life is all for a purpose. Nothing happens to us. Every single thing in life happens for us. Because when we now begin to realize these things, the things that have happened, good and bad, they happen for a reason. They happen only for a season. They happen on purpose so that now we can walk in our purpose. So therefore, when we realize this, ladies and gentlemen, and we know that it had to happen, what's going to happen, number one, is we realize our strength. You see, throughout all the goodness, throughout all the pain, you see, yes, I had a very good childhood. I did. I was driving my own vehicle by the age of 16. My parents, my mom, see, now I don't like people in car. All right, so she would buy a car every 2 years. So when she got tired of it, we got a vehicle. So it wasn't difficult. But I could tell you that all of that had to happen. And then God said, as I grew up, you know what? You're going to experience some pain. So that's the reason why the bankruptcy had to happen. That's the reason why Nate and I had to live paycheck to paycheck with a 6-figure plus income. That's the reason why we experienced the ups and the downs with corporate America failing us. One project here, one project there, all of that. And now we're struggling and we living paycheck to paycheck. We cashing in 401k. You see, all of that had to happen. The times in which we didn't know when the meal was going to come from, ladies and gentlemen, and I had to get on eBay and sell something around the house in order for us to eat. You see, all of that had to happen. So therefore, when you realize this, ladies and gentlemen, the repossessions, they all had to happen. The renting the cars for 2 years where Enterprise knew us by name. I still got relationships with Enterprise. Why it had to happen? Definitely now I get discounts, all right? So it all had to happen. happen in order for me and us to become who we are today, in order to now walk in the victory, in order for us to say, listen, Lord, I give you all the glory. Why? Because I couldn't have done this by myself. All of this had to happen. So now I'm able to share my story. I'm able to let the world know that I couldn't have done this by myself. But because I got myself in a position, because I allowed myself to get there, now God is saying, now that you're back up against the wall, now that your back is through the wall, why don't you depend on me, allow me to bring you out so that now you can share your story and give me all the glory. You see, it all had to happen, ladies and gentlemen. When we ended up homeless and living in a home of Coach Stormy's house, yes, it all had to happen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, every single thing that we go through in life. When I started to sip on a cup of tea that I didn't believe in, I laughed at for over a year when they first launched it. Are you kidding me? Tea? That's a joke. It all had to happen to bring us to being seven-figure earners from a simple cup of tea. And so many people are sipping on the tea and playing with it, not even getting a story, not even representing the product like it needed to be represented. We have products that are life-changing. It all had to happen. But I can tell you that you find your strength in everything that happens. I can tell you that when you realize and you recognize the strength that's within, you see, that's what had to happen. Every single thing that I went through, from a child, from being laughed at, from being that person that didn't believe in myself, right? From being that person that felt like she was ugly, to now being a woman who walks in confidence, who walks in fearlessly, who now can speak on this call, who can stand in front of a room. You see, all of that had to happen. But I can tell you, when we realize our strength, now what's going to happen is the things that we go through is also going to give us some wisdom. You see, blessed is the person that finds wisdom throughout the trial. You see, that pain is meant to grow us. That pain is meant to take us to the next level. So that wisdom that we now get is now the experience, it's the knowledge, and it's everything that we need now in order to make some good decisions, in order to now use good judgment. So it had to happen. Yes, God is going to allow us to fail, but that failure is not meant to stop us. That failure is not meant to keep us in a stuck position. That failure is meant for us to fail forward, for us to grab a hold of that thing, to say that yes, there is strength in my pain, and to realize and know that there is a tomorrow. But I can also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that everything has to happen. Why? Because it's also preparation. Y'all write that down. It's preparation for the journey. It's preparation for what God is taking us. It's preparation for the future. It's preparation for our dreams to now become our reality. It's preparation for every single thing that we desire to now manifest in our lives. It had to happen. But not only is it preparing us, ladies and gentlemen, it now allows us to grow. How many of you know that if we're not growing, we are dying? So God is saying, get up every single day and continue to grow. Get up every single day and to water that pain, to realize and know that that pain is not meant to be pain, but that pain may be a little seed that's now going to cause you to birth into something amazing, now going to cause you to become that beautiful palm tree that I look at every single day. I love Florida, the environment. It gives me life. Why? Because I can look at these palm trees. I know that that palm tree can withstand every single storm. I don't care how bad it gets outside. It's going to bend to the left. It's going to bend to the right. It's going to lean backwards. It's going to lean forwards. But I'm going to tell you, it will not break because of the strength that it realizes from a little seed and what's in. And so then when we realize it, it causes us to grow, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Now we're becoming, because God created us to not be beings here on earth. Too many times we be. Be means that we stand still. Be means that we are just settling in life. But God said, I created you to become. Therefore, yes, you got to go through some things. It had to happen. But God is saying, I'm calling you to become who I created you to be. So therefore, we grow in the process. And now as we're growing in the process, now the pain, the process that we had to go through, we become that person that now appreciates where we are. You see, if we don't go through some things in life, if we don't have to grow through some things in life, if we don't fail in life, then guess what? We can never appreciate the very things when God takes us from that place and puts us into a new place. Because God is saying today that I am doing a new thing. How many of you going to grab a hold of it and realize that it had to happen in order to allow God to do that new thing, so that now we can appreciate and have that attitude of gratitude as he now is taking us to the next level? But I can also say, not only do we get that strength, that wisdom, he's preparing us so that we could grow, so that now we appreciate things. But God is saying, you know what, as you go through that thing, as you're learning from that thing, you're appreciating that thing, that now you are in a position to be able to create the very thing. Create. God has called us masters to be able to create the very things that we decide to see happen in our lives. So therefore, we need to put ourselves in that creative zone. What is God saying to each and every one of us that we need to do in life? Because all of those things had to happen so that now we can create the very life that we deserve. So that now we can create the change that we want to see. You see, if it's to be, it's up to me. So therefore, we get up every single day and we realize, let me create in order to be a blessing. Because it's not about us, right? Because the last thing is, as we go through all of this and we realize that it all had to happen, ladies and gentlemen, now we get ourselves to the point to saying, not only did it all had to happen, but my story is not meant for me. My test is not meant for me. This mess that I had to go through is not meant for me. It's my testimony. It's my message in order to be able to help others. Because life is not about us. We move, we walk on purpose, and God is saying it's about how many lives can you impact? How many lives can I help to bring about the change? How many lives are you going to let know that it's because of me, in order to share your story, in order to let the world know that it's all because of his glory? Ladies and gentlemen, it had to happen. So there's no pain that can break us. There's no pain that can stop us. You see, pain is meant to make us. And so therefore, when we get up every single day and we realize that every single thing that we go through in life is all because it had to happen in order for us to become the very person that God can use, the very person that God can say, well done, my good and faithful servant, the very person that we need to be in order to live the life that we all deserve and dream of. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say as I close out this Wake Up and Win call, listen, it had to happen. Go back to that 13-year-old self. Thank you, Coach Stormy, because I went back there today and it made me even more appreciative of where I am today, to go back and to reflect, to go back and to remember the pain, but to go back and to remember the good times, the memories, the things that literally have helped me to become the woman that I am today. Sometimes we forget. So go back, every single one of you, to that 13-year-old self and be appreciative of every single pain. Go back to that place and know that it all had to happen. So ladies and gentlemen, as I close out this Wake Up and Win call this morning, you know what? I want to say to each and every one of you, whoo, man, I'm thankful. Man, to wake up every single day and to just, you got to wake up every day and know for real. Within the first few minutes that you open your eyes, you just need to start praising. You just need to start giving God all the glory. You need to start thanking, because I can tell you, you determine and you control your day within the first 15 to 20 minutes of you opening your eyeballs. So therefore, when you wake up with an attitude of gratitude, when you wake up with a heart of praise, and you begin to realize that when the praises go up, the blessings come down, ladies and gentlemen, that's when God is going to move. And so I can tell you, I'm thankful that everything that I've been through in life, it had to happen. Yes. Because I said yes. Yes. Because had none of that happened, I would have never said yes to a company that's now changing lives all over the entire world, to some products in which, yes, I represent at the age of 49, a product of my product. I am proud of my products. I did not say yes to a company to be a misrepresentation. I said yes to a company to go all out, to go all in, and I can tell you as a result of it, the manifestation of every single thing that we put in is now a reality. And so if you want to know more about a phenomenal company that for real is changing lives health-wise, people are taking back their health. This is not by chance that people's lives are being changed physically for real. If you want to know how that's happening, if you want to know how it all had to happen, 20 years of failure, 20 plus years of failure, and some people won't even give 20 minutes, 20 days before they decide to quit. 20 years of failure in order to now represent as just a sneeze away from being a multi-millionaire, but how we were able to become seven-figure earners in 17 months. Then I want you to join me back tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be definitely here on Facebook. I will be on Instagram Live. I will be on this phone line covering all avenues. So there really is no excuse, ladies and gentlemen. But don't come by yourself. Remember, we were called to bless others. Share it. Invite somebody else. You just never know. What if there's somebody out there looking to change their health? What if there's somebody out there looking for an opportunity? So tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be sharing my story on how God allowed everything that happened to turn it all around, to take that pain and to turn it into some serious gain. And so tonight at 10 p.m. on this very same number, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and speak our affirmations. I believe that is all that I have today. Definitely always go out to thewellfoundation.org and support and to give, because Coach Stormy always has some initiatives going on. So definitely go there and, check that out. I know that this call is recorded, and the recorded number is 701-801-1218. And you can dial in with that same pin that you use, but the last two digits are 18. So let's go ahead and speak our affirmations as we close out this Wake Up and Win call this morning. I will hear the voice of the Holy Spirit within. I will lead and not follow. I will create and not destroy. I am a force for good. I set new standards. I defy the odds. I am a leader. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am the lender and not the borrower. I am loved by God. I am chosen by God. I am protected by God. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Y'all know it had to happen. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And every tongue that rises against me in judgment shall be condemned. Why? It's my season, and I'm a champion. I am a champion. I am a champion. Every single thing that I touch turns to gold. Y'all need to realize that every single thing that I touch turns to gold. Yes, every single thing that I touch turns to gold. It's my season. It's my turn. I am humble. I am happy. I am wealthy. I am strong. I will never be broke another day in my life. I will never be broke another day in my life. And I am living in the fullness of God and all that He has for me and my family. And y'all already know I am created for greatness. And I am so happy and grateful now that I am in a constant state of attracting all that I deserve and all that I desire. Y'all go out and be blessed. Have yourself a phenomenal day. Join us back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as our amazing host, my beautiful sister, chiming in all the way from the ATL, none other than Mrs. Larissa Barclay, brings forth another rendition of It Had to Happen. Be blessed. Go out and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye, my friends.
To stop conference recording, this session is no longer being recorded.
All right, there you go. It had to happen. It all had to happen, y'all. Sorry, IG. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I see you guys on Instagram Live and on Facebook. Know that it all had to happen. Grab a hold of that thing, realize it, allow it to thrust you forward, and know without a shadow of a doubt that it's all just going to turn into that next level of life. You're welcome, Sheila. Yes, thank you. Cynthia, thank you, thank you, thank you, Sean. Manifest, I see you. Yes. Yes, I see all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all be blessed. Thank you, Magnika. You too. Have an incredible day. All right, everybody. Y'all know you're already winners. You're already champions. Let's go do it. All right, let's go do it. It's time for me to get my 30-33 on. I'm committed. All right, see y'all later. Bye-bye, everybody. You're welcome. All right, bye-bye. You're welcome, IG. See y'all later.